Hello and welcome to Iceland Roundup, where me, Aðalsteinn and Sindri try to recount the biggest news stories in Iceland during the past week.
Round it all up.
Round it all up.
I still cannot believe that we're not Reykjavík Roundup.
No.
But that ship has sailed.
Yes.
I think the farmers would have a problem with that. You can't really round up sheep inside Reykjavík.
Not anymore.
Not anymore, but it used to, because we are we are on a historical show, you know.
Are we?
Yes, we're talking
We're
about history of the last 7 days.
Okay. Yeah, I suppose so.
Yeah, so
We should try to do an episode where we do the future. We try to sort of predict what stories will be in the next 7 days.
yeah, okay.
Yeah, we should have a pretty good sense of it in a couple months.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, right over my head, I would go for next week we'll probably cover something in tourism.
Okay, yes.
Maybe something in
Bold
politics.
claim. Yeah.
Maybe some police-related incident, and maybe something from the business sector.
And someone will be lost in the countryside.
Yeah,
Most
definitely.
likely.
Yeah, stranded
And
or dead.
I think we're done here. Let's just stop.
Yeah.
We don't have to do this show.
It's been real. This podcast has been great. I'm gonna go live my life now.
This is living.
Yeah,
Sindri.
such as it is. Yeah.
Yes.
So last time I hate to say this, but we kind of extendedly made fun of a person who got lost in near Seyðisfjörður.
Extended jam.
Extended jam of
Extended
making fun
riff.
of that person.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
I think
I don't really feel that bad about it. I'm I guess more cynical or something, or
You should offer them some expired chocolate, like you do with us.
yeah, sure.
Yeah.
But the
Might
reason
be
why I
better.
don't feel that bad about that story, the reason why that story was funny was because nobody died, right?
yeah, I mean, if he had died,
So then it wouldn't have been funny.
No.
It would have been terrible. I mean,
tragic.
there was a happy ending to all of this, and that's why we could joke about it.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like we spent like a good 5 or 10 minutes talking about a person who did die last episode, and I just want to point out that I did not crack one
No jokes
Poor
were cracked during that.
joke,
Yeah.
or
And,
I didn't even smile. In
That's-
fact, I wasn't listening, but I mean, that's besides the point. Like, the point is that I was very respectful.
A line has been drawn.
Death is the line.
So somebody asked in the comment section, like, who was that person who got lost in Seyðisfjörður and slept out in nature for 4 nights without shelter or food,
Mm-hmm.
and then was finally picked up on, I guess it was Thursday, 10 days ago or something like that.
Was it Joaquin Phoenix researching his latest role?
It was not a method actor.
Ah.
I'm afraid it wasn't him nor one of the other method actors, Christian Bale, or who are they again?
The guy from Succession.
Succession.
Daniel Day-Lewis.
Daniel Day-Lewis. It was
Yes.
not Daniel Day-Lewis. And
No.
what's the name of that Succession guy?
Jeremy Strong.
Jeremy Strong, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, he's like big into method. I like that guy.
I think so,
Yeah,
yeah.
I read an interview with some of his co-stars.
Oh, wait, I'm thinking of Mark Strong. That's a different guy. I have no idea who this guy is. I'm sorry, I'll shut up now. Go on.
I saw him recently in that
You
Trump
saw him recently.
in the Trump biopic.
Okay, yeah.
Which he was excellent. He was portraying sort of Trump's protege and lawyer in the 80s.
I'm so impressed how you said protege without
Flinching. Thank you. Whose name escapes me now.
I'm not gonna burst your pronunciation bubble there, but yeah,
Thank
keep
you.
talking.
Don't do it.
I'm not gonna do it.
He was excellent. It's a very good movie.
Mm-hmm.
Is it just called The Apprentice, I think?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, it's a very good movie. But anyway, so the guy who got lost in the East was interviewed by Icelandic media last week, and his name is Joey Sita, I think.
Mm-hmm.
He lives in New York. He's an artist, and he's been coming to Iceland since 2007. And
Yeah, so it's not his first time getting lost.
well, it's not his first time here anyway.
Okay.
And he said, quote, in the interview on Vísir, "I am the stupid American tourist." So,
We found him finally
And
after years of searching.
yeah, and I'm really glad he got out of this relatively unscathed.
Yeah,
That's
so
great.
Of course, yeah.
And
We applaud him.
Yeah,
for
cheers
his
to you.
Survivor
yeah,
status.
cheers to Joey.
Yeah.
We're happy he's okay,
Yeah.
and we're also happy that he sees sort of the. Well, he's self-aware in this sense. He is the stupid American tourist, and
Yeah.
I mean, and he said something to the fact that he hopes that his story will be sort of a warning to others. And
Yeah, that's not happening.
but on that note, we might as well try
Yeah.
and recount, or I'll recount to an extent, what happened to him
Yeah. Okay.
and why this happened. So he was in Seyðisfjörður, and
With this.
with his crew,
Yeah. Okay.
and his plan was, I think, on Saturday, prior to him being found on a Thursday, was to walk or hike the north end of that fjord to there's a house there, sort of at the mouth of that fjord.
Mm-hmm.
And it was dark, he had a flashlight and like a backpack, and he missed the house. He didn't see the house, so he just kept walking.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, like, his inner voice was telling him, you should probably stop now and do something about this, but he just kept going. So yes, he should have listened to his inner voice, and he does.
This is a good instinct to have in New York. It's
Yeah,
like
yeah,
when
yeah.
something I should stop and no, just keep walking, just keep walking.
So basically, he continued, and then he kind of figured he'd just stay put until he was found.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, we talked about this. I mean, that's in a way not a silly thing to do, and it worked for him. But had it been like a mildly colder than it was, it wouldn't have.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess this kind of speaks to something we've talked about before in terms of like, we're from here, we're used to everything here, so we tend to like look at people who are visiting doing all sorts of things that we find incredibly stupid because we are used to how things work here.
Yeah.
And in some cases people get hurt or they even get seriously.
It wasn't that rare, just like, a few decades ago, that people would just disappear. Like you would never find them.
No, I mean, there was a story over the weekend about a French guy who's here in 1999 who disappeared, and his family is still searching for him.
Mm-hmm.
So he's been missing for more than 25 years.
Yep.
And nobody has the faintest idea what happened to him. So he had a flight back from Iceland,
Mm-hmm.
never took that flight, never been seen. This happens every now and then.
Yeah. I think our name is too friendly sounding. Iceland. It sounds too like
Safe.
cute, It
Cute.
should be like
Hell.
Darkland or something, Deathland.
Deathland.
The Darklands.
Yeah.
The Darklands. Yeah.
What
Yeah.
was it was a location for Game of Thrones, right? Like, what was that part of the map
God,
called?
I haven't seen Game of Thrones.
Yeah, don't. But they used Iceland as like, it's like there's a name for it in the books or something.
The Game of Thrones.
What?
I live in the Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
You
What
live-
is Iceland but a giant Game of Thrones? No, not even like a small Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
It's scaled down.
Tiny.
There's
tiny
fewer
version.
people on Iceland than were involved in the production of the TV show Game of Thrones.
Yeah, I believe so.
I made that up. I have no idea if that's true. Don't look it up.
I believed you.
Yeah, what should we?
I'm sorry.
What should Joey have done differently?
Walk back. No,
I think the
because
first
it's
thing he
like-
should have done.
No, he gets down.
Take someone with him to eat.
He gets down to the shore, like
Mhm.
he sees the sea.
Mhm.
I mean, he should just like walk the coastline back.
That would have made a lot of sense to me, and this is what we talked about.
Yeah, I
on the
mean
show.
because when he starts walking, the sea is on his right side.
Mhm.
So he should just I'm gonna turn the other way.
Yeah.
The sea is gonna be on my left side.
Yes.
I will get
I'll get there. I'll get
I'll
back
get
to where
back
I started.
to Seyðisfjörður, but having been to Seyðisfjörður multiple times, I understand the need to get away from it.
Yes.
But
Oh, the art.
it's like a lovely town. But
Mhm.
and in the dark, like why do you go hiking in the dark?
There's also this thing that he didn't really. I think, if I understood this correctly, he didn't really tell anybody where he was going,
Yeah.
which is, I think, basically the first thing you should make sure you've done is to tell
Yeah,
somebody
that's like nature
Yeah.
where you-
101.
where you're going and when you're coming back.
Go to the bensinstöð, the gas station. Like I'm going for a hike in the dark.
And we'll go like, don't do that.
Yeah, they'll be like, I hope you had a nice life.
Exactly. So that's like
Yeah.
case closed.
I cannot stress enough, though, as like a city kid, how shocking it is, like how easy it is to get lost in nature. Like how quickly, like if you're not used to just keeping one eye on like landmarks or something, to just like, you know, be like 5 minutes from a road and be like, I have no idea where I am.
Yeah, and,
no idea how to
and
get
people
back.
who are like really familiar with Icelandic nature also get lost. And I mean, you know, Rjúpnaviði, I don't know what Rjúpna is.
Ptarmigan hunting.
Yeah, it's like these people who go with guns up on Icelandic mountains to shoot these birds, to eat them for Christmas?
Yep.
Yeah, like taste awful, but people still do it. And
traditions.
yeah, and
They must be
traditionally,
maintained.
at least one of them gets lost, even though they go every year to the same spot. So, I mean,
Like a couple guys have died doing that, like in the last few years, right?
yeah, I don't remember. Probably, yeah.
It
but-
happened.
Somebody died by accident, and then it was related to the. Never mind.
Yeah.
But
No, I mean,
it's like it's easy to get lost. I get that.
yeah,
But
I
it's
think.
also easy to like turn the other way, and you see the sea. You
Yeah.
can walk back.
I think.
The ptarmigans are not what they seem.
No,
You should ask them for
Yeah.
directions.
exactly.
I think this is true, and even though we make fun of all of this, it is still known that people who are very familiar with the Icelandic outdoors, as these ptarmigan hunters often are, have gotten and will get lost from time to time, especially in blizzards. But that's kind of what happens.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing that's also true is that when you do kind of get disoriented, even if you're very sort of skilled at this, and I've heard about this happening when in roundup operations, rounding up sheep, is that even though you know that if you're rounding up sheep and you're lost, you're supposed to like follow the rivers downstream because that will eventually get you to the coastline and civilization.
Because, like, important thing to know, there is no civilization inland.
Yeah, no. I mean, until
I
the
mean,
sheep.
you have like Egilsstaðir and Eiðar.
That's not civilization, though, is it?
It's also not that far inland.
No, but it is
Relatively.
like you can't see the sea from there.
True, a rarity. But what has happened is like people who have done this for decades will find themselves either like riding a horse upstream,
Yeah.
like by a stream, or walking that way, and just being somehow panicked enough or disoriented enough to actually do a completely stupid thing,
Yeah.
which is do that. So this is, in all fairness, it can happen to the best of us. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, to put this into like context for myself, because I never go into nature. Like, I have a verðtryggt lán.
A packed indexed loan.
Yeah, and I mean, I know it's stupid.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the special Icelandic loan. So even if I'm like able to follow the river downstream and get to civilization, and I laugh at the stupid American tourist, I still do crazy things.
Yeah,
Like,
you
all for
are the
myself.
fool because you
Yeah.
are now alive to pay your
Yeah.
loan.
Yeah.
Whereas you could have just simply died a noble death in the Highlands.
No, I mean, just my point is like
leave your
we
children
know
in debt.
nature, but we just find other stuff to fuck us up.
Right. Yeah.
Right, yeah. I mean, last time we talked about this at length, we were also talking about how Icelanders are you know, even though they kind of are mildly aware of how nature works, you'll put them in a big city and they'll do something incredibly stupid.
Yes.
Like, don't go into that neighborhood, and then they'll go into that neighborhood just because you told them not to go into that neighborhood. It's a thing.
Yeah, it's like children.
We're like
a
children.
nation of.
We're a nation of children when
Yeah.
we're put into the position of like being in cities which most of, you know, civilization lives in.
Yeah, and just like not really understanding the scale of cities in other countries, though. It's just like
Scales
you
and
look at a
dynamic.
map, but it's just like, oh, it's just like halfway across the city. I could walk that easily.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, no, you cannot.
Yeah, I also remember when I went to Australia for a few months, and I was like clearing off some spider webs. Like, that wasn't a good idea.
No.
It's amazing you're still alive,
You
right?
know,
From what I
there's
gather.
This local man who saw me, he actually just grabbed my hand, and it's like, if you see this kind of spider,
Well,
just leave.
just
Yeah, just scream at the top of your lungs
back away
and run
slowly.
away. Yeah.
Yeah.
Back away slowly. There's also an update on on a person we talked about last week, which is our now former Minister of Education and Children.
Yes, Ásthildur Lóa Þórsdóttir.
Yeah, last week we talked about her court case regarding her housing loan, where she was quite indignant about having had to pay interest on a housing loan.
Yeah.
Really cannot stress enough how salt of the earth this woman is.
But you know, that whole thing was mildly embarrassing because she had been able to repurchase her house from, well, she like so many people after the economic crash, she had stopped paying off her housing loan.
Yeah.
And rented out her house, and then it was possible for her to buy it back like 10 years after she originally bought it, and she was able to buy it back at the same price, which was way lower than the market price. And she was unhappy about having had to pay interest on that, and nobody really felt sorry for her, and it seemed, and she was openly criticizing the judicial system. And
Yeah, I haven't really done the math, but
No.
it's like the feeling is that she actually like made a profit from this.
I think she did from the
Yeah.
whole thing. So it's, at least she didn't come out of it really badly, and nobody really, it was hard to champion her cause there.
Yeah.
And then using that to
I mean, she
throw
seems
stones at the judicial system seemed
I feel so
disproportional.
bad because I know what story you're like.
Oh, you didn't miss the story. That's,
No.
that's
I didn't miss the
one
reason.
might think you work in news or have
Yeah.
been awake for the past few days. So this is the biggest
Like,
story of last week.
the size of the rock you would have to live under could be seen from space.
It's in Hafnarfjöður.
So unless you were stranded with a backpack in a remote fjord during last week, you did not miss the story, which
Oh
is
my
that
God.
on Thursday...
It was in the New York Post. I want to talk about that later
The
on.
BBC covered this.
Yeah.
I mean, it was in the Swedish media a lot. They actually went for like full UK puns there, which I'm not gonna repeat. But the biggest story
No,
last week...
this is a family podcast.
Yes.
We can't say like the same things as the Swedish media.
Oh, the Scandinavian jokes. So our former Minister of Education and Children resigned on Thursday.
Yeah, and announced her Didn't
resignation.
happen until yesterday.
No, she was replaced yesterday.
Grab
in a
that one last paycheck, I guess.
in a ceremonial meeting of ministers at the residence of the President of Iceland at Bessastaðir. And so we
Where
should
she
go
was
in...
stripped of her rank and regalia and suffered 30 lashes.
Right, we should probably... This is a good segue into explaining how we have a military dictatorship, right?
Yeah.
So she resigned, and we should get into why this was. Right?
Yes, please.
Let's get in there,
Who wants to say? Who wants to? Do you want to say it?
Mr. Newsman.
I really don't want to say it.
So it came to light that in 1990.
Do you want me to say it?
In the
Oh, no,
dark days of 1990,
In 1990, when
1989, just to...
well, no, I'm gonna go.
an even
I'm
darker
gonna
time.
backtrack.
Okay,
in,
okay,
19
okay,
in,
sorry.
in June 1990,
Yeah.
Ásthildur Lóa begot a child.
Mm-hmm.
And it has come to light that she begot that child with a 16-year-old.
Yes.
She was 22,
She was
23 at the time, which I feel like is the crucial element that is missing from most of the headlines. It's like,
She was
minister
23.
resigns due to having child with a teenager. It's like, yeah, when she was 23, and they use like current pictures of her, it makes it seem far more salacious than it is.
Yeah, but at the same time, I mean, the Minister of Children and Education begot a child with basically a child.
Yeah.
And even though it's 35 years later, she at least decided to resign. And I don't think that's a bad choice personally, but
It's the responsible
it's the
thing
responsible
to do.
thing, and not often do ministers here do the responsible thing and resign when shit comes up.
No, it's quite
I wonder
rare.
where she learned to do the responsible thing. I wonder what taught her that.
No, but
Having a child at an young
early
age.
age.
Yep, that's the joke.
Yeah.
I guess so. And
I was just explaining the joke.
Yeah, some of our viewers are slow.
I am.
well, maybe he was explaining it for me.
Yeah.
Okay. Lowest common denominator. Like, you guys have to explain the news to me every time, so like
Well, we explain the news and you explain the jokes.
All right, so let
Oh,
me
wait,
see
wait a
if I
minute.
understand this correctly.
Yeah. Do it.
She
Sum it up.
is working at like a sort of culty Christian thing for youth.
Well, this
She's like, this is debated because
Yeah.
she was a member of this youth Christian group. where-
Right, and if anyone, honestly, I feel like if anyone deserves blame for this, it's them. But, you know, moving on.
Yeah, why? Though?
Because they put a 22-year-old in charge of a 16-year-old.
No, that's the thing that's not actually been kind of reducted. That the claim that she had actually been in some sort of a role there has been kind of undermined. It doesn't seem to be true actually.
Yeah,
Okay,
but I spoke to the head of this religious group back in the day on Friday, no, on Thursday when it came up. I rang him up and it was just like, how did this work? Did you know about this?
Excuse me, good sir, but what the fuck?
Basically. And he explained like, even though he was appointed a leader of this group, he wasn't really a leader. They were just all working together and it was like a flat, flat structure.
So no.
Yeah,
sort
but
of-
that policy alone is kind of to blame here.
Yeah, but the thing is like now they're saying...
So you're saying Jesus was in control, basically?
Jesus was in control. Or
Yeah,
God,
Jesus
his
took the
father.
wheel and look what happened.
Yeah, but now they are saying like no, she wasn't in charge of like any work being done or the youth group or something, but like no one was in charge. It
Okay.
seems.
Okay.
So I mean, yeah, just to
Okay. Yeah, because that was one of the first things that came out. She
Yeah.
had been. All right. So that either way.
Yeah, she meets this 16-year-old boy.
So
Yeah.
that's the thing, because according to what I read,
What, they never met?
No.
they met, but he was.
Jonte, when a man and a woman love each other very much. Oh, come on, tell me, explain to me how.
Yeah, but they met a year earlier in 1989 when this guy was still 15.
Yeah.
And she claims that the sexual aspect of the relationship didn't start until like the month later after he turned 16.
Yeah.
And she has described him as like eldirhellir,
A stalker.
A stalker, yeah.
Yeah.
So
hiding in her garage at home, and
So-
then she like solved that problem with
Yeah.
inviting him in.
I guess.
Yeah,
Yeah. So this is where this went sort of weird immediately on Thursday. So she resigned,
Yeah.
and then I don't know. A couple of hours later, she was on. She released like a statement, and then she was on like the evening news thing, like in
Yeah,
YouTube.
it was RÚV, then the
State broadcaster.
state broadcaster who like broke the story at 6 o'clock in the evening, around the same time that she arrived in RÚV's headquarters in Efstaleiti,
Mhm.
where she was having an interview with the news person, with the journalist.
about her mortgage, presumably.
Yeah. And
Just winding down from the last scandal.
about this, and on the way in Efstaleiti, the office of the national broadcaster, this other private media company, Vísir Channel 2, they were there with like a camera, and she gave a 2 or 3 minute interview where she was trying to explain like this isn't what it seems. He was like really into me, really persistent, pursuing me, and yeah, I feel terrible about having to resign, but I did nothing wrong. That's like, to sum it up, what she said.
Which is like, I mean, this is where I'm completely at sea, because like objectively, if you are resigning
Mm-hmm.
for something as having had a sexual relationship with somebody who was 15, 16 when you were 23,
Mm-hmm.
and it's admittedly like a third of a century ago, but it kind of makes you very sort of conspicuous as a minister for children and education, obviously. How do you get to the point where you think immediately, well, none of this is really my fault, and I'm going to take this at the time 15 or 16-year-old person and throw that person under the bus because it's definitely their fault?
Mm-hmm.
Like, how do you square that
you had
off
35 years to somehow come to terms with the fact that this happened. Like, it's gonna, you have to, I think you have, and I'm, theorizing here completely, but I think you have to sort of, just to be able to function, to get to a point where you are okay with yourself for what you did. And I mean, 16-year-old is a child, but like, and I apologize deeply to any 22-year-old who might be watching this, but so is a 22-year-old. Like,
I do understand, but
it's like an important thing to note. Like, this wasn't illegal.
No.
At the time.
That's
and
really interesting.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. But and it speaks to Icelandic social mores, even if it was illegal. Like, this is not...
No, but I'm just
Did you
saying-
guys read Anna frá Stóruborg when you were in grunnskóli?
No.
Okay.
No, but what I'm saying is like,
They made
why,
me read that shit.
I'm
But
like
it's like... It's,
20 years younger than you.
But what I'm saying here is like, why do you then? I mean, this is just like, why you're resigning.
That's okay.
You're resigning. Why do you turn around? What's the incentive to turn around and blame the kid?
Well, he's not a
Yeah.
child
No,
anymore.
even like I'm not gonna even go into
Yeah.
like the discussion. No, he wasn't just at that point.
Yeah.
Like, during that time, you're going back
Yeah.
and you're saying, what happened at the time was the kid's fault.
Yeah. That's bad.
That's essentially what she's doing.
Yeah.
And I find that to be, whether or not there's any truth in that, which I think doesn't really matter here. It's like, why do you actually go for that line? How, like, why? Who? And there was like an interview like on Friday with somebody at the university who's like professor of moral philosophy or something. And, and his point was like,
Henry Alexander.
yeah, and his point was like, I think maybe like the whole resigning thing, fine. That statement,
Not so fun.
not so good.
Yeah.
Like, could have just not done that, and the whole thing would have kind of looked good.
Yeah, but I think like because we are so used to like the scandals that involve ministers in the government, they usually like relate to something that they do as a politician or as a minister, and this is like, I mean, she didn't do anything wrong as a minister while in office. The only thing is like it's the matter of like trúverðugleiki. That's Sindri, help me here. Credibility.
Credibility, yeah, it's a credibility
as
thing.
like Minister of Education and
I wouldn't know the first thing about credibility.
I believe in you.
So do I.
It's your mistake.
No, so but she didn't
You're credible
do
to
it-
us.
Yeah, you are. So
Okay.
I mean that's like, and also that she resigns without hesitation. This matter is like cleared up. She could have waited with the statement.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe like do an interview, like an in-depth interview with someone. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
I mean, if I were to speculate again, I think there's a logical fallacy that a lot of people have sort of post relationship. Like if they've broken up with someone, that there's this assumption that this was their plan all along, that they had, it's like this absolution of their own responsibility and this assumption that like, oh, the other person was using me and then they hurt me, because you need to sort of square you with yourself. And, I think under that sort of assumption, a lot of, hurtful and untrue things have been said, and I think maybe that's why she showed no compunction about like, throwing him under the bus.
Yeah,
there.
but and it also might be like the truth to it that I'm not
we
we don't know.
No, we don't know.
Yeah.
The point is like, even if it were, don't go there. I mean, the thing is like, if you turn this on its head and you think like, okay, so instead this was like a minister from, I don't know, the Independence Party, the Horse Party, as we famously call it, or something on the right wing.
The reason I invent these names is just so that foreigners can keep track of things better.
The Center Party, sorry, is the Horse Party.
Which only we refer to as the Horse Party.
And let's put it this way, because like a lot of people then over the weekend were kind of defending the resigned minister for her actions, saying like, it was a different time back in the 80s or 90s.
Yeah, and it definitely was.
And it was to an extent, but I don't think this was still not that common, I assume.
Yeah, but the point I was trying to make. Okay, sorry.
Let me get there.
All right.
And all that thing, and that
some coffee is gonna like.
And
yeah, I just chugged a Monster, man.
Yeah. Okay.
Where the fuck you at?
Yeah, just vibrate and shut the fuck up for a second.
I'm trying.
Is that it had this? If you like, people were defending her, and like, whereas my sort of take on this was like, she resigned. It was the right thing to do.
Yeah.
The exit was kind of messy. You shouldn't do whatever victim blaming was going on there ever, and just get on with it, and it would have looked pretty good. And then people were defending her, and I thought like most of the people defending her, what would have been their take on this, if say this minister had been of a party that is not in the coalition, like the Centrist Party or the Independence Party, had been male.
Yeah, like not to mention had been a dude.
And it was a 15 or a 16-year-old girl.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think anybody would have picked up the resigned minister's chalice there, or not chalice, like banner there to wave it. Like, seriously.
But this is, if nothing else, like a gender issue, isn't it? I mean, it's sort of...
But like we have...
I heard two old ladies in the hot tub yesterday, or day before, like saying, like, maybe she shouldn't have resigned. Maybe this is exactly the kind of person we need running children's affairs, because like this is shit that happens here and has always happened here and is still probably happening
but
here.
At the same time, I think like her, she demonstrated the lack of judgment on how she discussed the judicial system here, following her own case. And this was, even 35 years ago, obviously a lapse of judgment, I would say, to an extent. And then she has the tendency, it seems to me, to actually always blame somebody else. It's always somebody else's fault. It's the judicial system's fault. It's the 15 or 16-year-old's boy fault. I mean, generally, not a good look if you're going to be a minister, right?
Yeah, I mean, for better or for worse, though, I feel like she represents a really common attitude in this country. Mm-hmm. Like, I feel like, they call themselves the People's Party, and I find it, ironically, quite appropriate.
Yeah, I mean,
if you can even say something is ironically appropriate. But, they have a way about them that is kind of like, these are the people in line ahead of you at the grocery store, and, these are the people... fucking up their parking next to your car. Like, this is like, they shouldn't make the spaces so tight. Like, it's not my fault.
But we should also point out that she's still in Parliament. She's not gonna...
No, she's not resigning for Parliament.
Oh, yeah, there is that. It's just like, I'm no longer a minister, but I'm totally still an MP. So, like...
Yeah, but...
If y'all like being impregnated by teenagers, vote for me.
I think the biggest problem with this is that this was kind of a secret. I mean, the family knew, of course. The kid knows. The kid, he's my age.
That's the person I keep thinking about, is this 35-year-old out there who's suddenly become like the most talked about person in the country, and
Yeah, but I think no one has been like, it hasn't been photos of him in the media or his name. It's like he put out a statement, and some news outlets covered that, but.
Yeah, I think the media is laid off, I think, mostly.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, but...
Appropriately.
I mean, if this was something that had come up earlier, I mean, then her voters would know about it, and then she would have just a clear mandate. I don't think this would have affected the outcome of the election or something. If she was a minister in some other role than education and children's minister, I don't think she would have resigned, and I think... I mean, most people would be just kind of okay with it.
I don't know about that. I mean, I feel like, the right loves to dig up shit like this and, make a massive stink about it. But, I mean, you make a point, though. But I also feel like there's something to be said for this is her own private business. Like, I mean, I find that there is... there's something wrong about dragging this up as well. I get you, and I agree with you. Like this, she should have been more upfront about it. But I also like, you know, isn't it a little detestable to be dragging this up and, you know, and throwing it in her face?
Yeah, but the thing that, because we have some scandals like for the past 10, 15 years where politicians have been like caught in a lie, and I'm not saying that she was caught in a lie, but it's always the way politicians respond, not what they do. It's like if we go to the horse party, the chairman of the horse party,
Mr. Panama Papers,
man on the horse.
Yeah,
it's like
man on a high horse.
Man on a, I mean, what caused his resignation wasn't the Panama Papers reporting. It was the fact that he tried to lie about it. He walked out from an interview and didn't like.
I love that video. I hate it, but I love that video.
I was a part of that reporting team, and we frequently offered him another chance to do an interview. And if he had done that, we couldn't really use the previous one, and we were aware of that. But it's like the responsible thing to do. It's like ethics of journalism. You have to like, we want to get answers about this. And if he would have just sat down again and said, this is the thing we did. It was a totally normal thing. Everybody was doing it at the time. Yeah, maybe I should have declared this somehow, but you can see, I can provide documents that we didn't do yada yada and stuff like that. I believe he would still have, like he would finish his term as a prime minister. The same with Ásthildur. When she gets like a request from the RÚV people, the journalists at RÚV, it's like, we know this, and if she would have responded, yes, and it's totally fine that you know this is no secret, but I haven't felt the need to publicize my family history, but this is no secret, everybody knows about it that have to know about it.
It's hard, isn't it? Because scandals, they bubble up very quickly, and it sort of tells you a lot about the person underneath, like what's their response in those first 24 hours.
Yeah, but the thing is that she doesn't do that, but she like calls the person that originally contacted the Prime Minister's office.
Yeah. So there was like a...
Well, the report.
So how was it leaked? Somebody called the Prime Minister's office?
Yeah,
so
there was
the former mother-in-law of
this guy,
of this former 15 or 16-year-old guy,
who's now like 50.
Yeah,
or something.
50 something.
Yeah, she contacted the Prime Minister's office through like a tip line. It's like sent an email through the website of the Prime Minister's office, and like, I have information about the Minister of Children. I want a private meeting with the Prime Minister. It will only take 5 minutes. If the Prime Minister wants, she can invite the Minister of Children and Education to sit in on the meeting. And then there was some back and forth with like Ritter, what's that, like the secretary of the Prime Minister, and they eventually said, no, you will not be getting a private meeting with the Prime Minister.
Sane response.
I kind of get that.
Yeah.
But at the time when this back and forth is going on, the political assistant of the Prime Minister, one of two of them, I don't know which, maybe that has come out, she or he contacts the assistant of the Minister of Children and Education and says like, this woman has like contacted us, wants a meeting, it's regarding the minister that you work for. Does the minister know anything who this is? The minister responds, no, I don't know who that is. Then goes on Facebook and finds like, who is this woman? Why is he like, what does she want with me? Or what does he want with the Prime Minister's office?
Again, a deeply relatable response.
Goes on Facebook and sees, okay, she's friends with my son's father.
God, I wish there was like footage of her face when she puts together like two and two.
And then she starts calling.
Yeah.
And she calls like multiple times. And when the person, the informant, stops answering the phone, Ásthildur Lóa, the minister, shows up at her door at 10 o'clock in the evening. It's like, that response is the crazy thing.
You're just slowly and painfully describing a dumpster fire to me.
Yeah.
I mean,
this is a terrible thing.
That to you is crazy? I mean, this is like the most human, relatable story we've covered on this podcast.
Yeah, but this is the thing that like screams that this was a secret. This wasn't something she was ready to face.
No.
She knew that this was like she did something in her past that wasn't
okay. And then she basically takes this and panics massively.
Yeah, and like she doesn't tell anyone around her about this.
No.
It isn't until that she knows that the state broadcasting company will report on this.
Mm-hmm.
Then she goes on and talks to the PR guy at the People's Party. Then she talks to the chairwoman, Inga Silent, about this.
Mm-hmm.
Then she confirms to the Prime Minister's office, yes, this is like based on some facts. Okay. And then she doesn't have a choice but to
basically
resign. Yeah.
I mean, it's the long game solution. Like it's like I think
so. Like you're saying, it's not the scandal itself; it's the response.
So if there's some like politicians out there listening to us, that's like.
Are you opening a consulting firm?
Like the brain trust. The three of us can like.
We're gonna be the three guys in the room saying like, no, you should maybe not do that.
Yeah, maybe just have a coffee,
chill a bit.
Yeah.
Take a cold ice bath.
Cigar and a waffle.
Yeah. Cigar. That's great advice. Cigar first or waffle first?
Both.
Okay.
At the same time.
Would you prefer to be on TV in nicotine shock or a sugar crash?
No, the point is not go on TV.
Right.
Yeah. Don't go on TV. So
never go on camera.
No, you should always talk to a newspaper journalist like myself.
Yeah. So
can we put like my contact information in
yes,
there?
Yes. and the name of your brain trust.
Yeah. The brain trust.
The brain trust. So I guess moving from a story that sounds well.
Let's just move away from it.
It just doesn't have good aesthetics for a small population on a small island where everybody's kind of related to each other.
But I think it has very accurate aesthetics of a small island.
Accurate and therefore damning.
Yeah, I feel like this is like. This is like a Lifetime movie set in a small New England town. Like this is, I don't know. This is classic stuff.
It's more Appalachian, but anyway.
Yeah, I'm sorry for everyone's woes, but yeah, like in the end, I can't really find myself. I can't find it in myself to think any less of anyone involved in this. Honestly.
No.
Yeah,
definitely not.
Well, that was Thursday last week. What about Friday? So Friday came and news broke that Carbfix, an Icelandic company, dedicated. Here's the description on the internet. Carbfix is an Icelandic company founded in 2007. It has developed an approach to permanently store CO2 by dissolving it in water and injecting it into basaltic rocks. So this is an almost 20-year-old Icelandic company that very recently got a massive EU grant for what is it, 18.
They did.
Yeah, I have a massive EU grant.
To do this? Okay.
And there have been, I think we've done some stories about how sort of, not maybe undermining the fact that you can do this. You can take CO2 out of the atmosphere and you can dissolve it in water and pump it into underground rocks. But whether or not it's actually an effective way to battle CO2.
Were they trying to make soda? Is this how...
Maybe this is how we get our sparkling water.
Yeah, our many brands of overpriced sparkling water.
But
this is clacky.
There had been some questions about like what happens when you
I love it.
When you pump pressurized things into the ground, which may already be kind of fractured and or
erupting at the moment.
And they had plans to start pumping down CO2 in Hafnarfjöður, which is a suburb of Reykjavík.
Ooh, really? You just pissed off a lot of
suburb of Reykjavík. The Reykjavík is a suburb of Hafnarfjöður.
I used to
It
know a
used to
guy
be,
from
yeah.
Hafnarfjöður who referred to the greater Reykjavík area as the greater Hafnarfjöður area.
Yeah, yeah.
That
no,
was pretty
it's-
funny.
I'm a like student of Flensborgarskólann í Hafnarfirði.
Ooh.
yeah.
I grew up in Hafnarfjörður.
I spent a couple of years there as a kid too.
Yeah.
Great town.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it
great
is,
town,
it's
great
a
town, yeah. So anyway, they were like the people who live in Hafnarfjörður had been mildly distressed about this operation starting in Hafnarfjörður.
Dakota terminal.
Yeah, that's a great name. Mostly because like there were some questions about how smart it would be to pump pressurized stuff into the ground in an area that might actually be on the list of places that might erupt during the next decades.
I mean, that
No,
quote that you
pretty-
read, like, if you don't have questions after hearing something like that, then there is something wrong with your brain. It's just like, what?
Yeah. So
You're gonna do what now?
Yeah, so I guess they're gonna try to find another place to pump their stuff into the ground.
Yeah, aren't they like talking to Húsavík and Þorlákshöfn?
Well, Thorlákshöfn have lost out massively, as we know, recently from external.
Was it the sand thing?
Yeah, it was the sand thing.
Yeah. Wow. Such a loss.
Yeah. Anyway, I guess, just Google it, I guess. We should just, this is at least not happening. Maybe that's for the better because it doesn't blow up in a volcanic eruption in the next few months or years.
But this is like a bit remarkable because the people of Hafnarfjörður, at least a group of them, were so vocal against this that the company like decided, okay, we're not going to go forward with it. So it's like a rare case of the people living in the town having a say about what is done within its boundaries.
Similar
Funny how differently it plays out when it's in like a cosmopolitan area with slightly more people than if it's some small town that a corporation can easily just like pay someone off and take control of.
Well, the town we were mentioning is Thorlákshöfn, which is about 40 minutes outside of Reykjavík, where a German company Heidelberg was trying to set up operations where the whole idea was to basically dig out mountains of sand and ship it off to continental Europe.
Yeah.
And the town had a vote on it, and they just said no.
Yeah.
We like our sand where it is.
We like our sand where it is.
Mountains where they are.
Like
that's 6 of 1. I mean, what is a mountain but a giant pile of sand? Really?
In this country, that's entirely true. And I guess the people
You're
were thinking
so
like,
poetic.
It's my job,
Yeah.
sort of, if I got paid for it.
I guess
It's a hobby.
Yeah, it's a hobby at this point. Until I get a publisher, it's just a hobby.
I guess if people
You're a publisher, right?
they're not of books.
Okay.
Sorry. I can work on it.
Yeah.
Not on books. Not on books.
Something to get into.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so,
Okay. Sorry. I'm
So I guess if
interrupting.
people are being told like, this mountain blocks your view, we can rid you of the mountain, and people are going like, I like my view. This is actually the mountain is my view. It's not blocking my view. But anyway, so the people said no, and it didn't happen. So I guess that's the story here.
Power to the people.
Do you guys
I mean,
wanna-
if you're a company like, I'm sure Heidelberg is huge, but I mean, it's like
It is huge.
there's all these different levels of power, though. It's just like when it comes to like the aluminum companies, like they have so much power that like bad press can't even really, they can just buy their way through it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think like in this economy, like in 2025, like most companies when faced with like vocal opposition are like, oh yeah, that's probably not smart. Like we have to sidestep that. It's a good sign, I guess.
Yeah.
Anyway, on that note, next thing.
There are more things. Are we gonna cover the fourth story?
We could talk
Wow.
about 13 people getting arrested on Saturday Saturday morning, basically, for following a knife
They finally
stabbing
got
incident.
the Yuletide lads out of town.
Someone got stabbed in the back, like literally.
Yeah, but I guess it's a part of a thing we might cover just later because it kind of relates to organized crime and sort of territorial
Organized dýravarsla.
or organized bouncers
Yeah,
or something. I don't know.
bouncerism.
Bouncerism.
Yeah. What do you call the occupation of being a bouncer? Bouncing?
Bouncing.
Yeah.
They're bouncing around with
What is
knives.
bounce for a living?
Yeah.
And we could have covered the.
Doing.
I think it's important to put this, this particular branch of occupation into their place and say, like, you bounce for a living.
Yeah.
Like,
And we
as
could,
empowering and masculine as that sounds, this is what you do.
And
You
we-
are
and
like
we-
a human ball.
we could also cover the thing.
Wow, you have a death wish.
I mean, does anyone have a good story about a bouncer? Like, tell one right now.
Oh yeah, I have a good one.
Really?
Yeah.
Like one that reflects positively on the occupation of bouncerism.
So when I would attend a place called Circus in the Northeast,
Mm.
the bouncers were women,
Okay.
and it was
And
great.
they were lovely.
They were lovely.
I already like them better,
Yeah. And I remember at one point some drunk asshole assaulted one of them because she wasn't letting him in.
Mm.
There was a long queue, long line, and the line of which I was a part of, but pretty far back, so I kind of missed out on the whole thing that subsequently followed. The rest of the line basically spontaneously just beat the crap out of the guy and threw him into the street.
Those were the days
then
when
business continued as usual.
no one carried a
But
knife
this is
around.
like a story about the community, not the bouncers.
The bouncers being a part of the community. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Okay.
They had accepted the bouncer as one of their own.
Yeah,
Wow.
so,
Okay, it is a nice story.
That is a nice story.
It's-
Apart from,
you know,
aside from the fact that someone got beaten up
they
and
didn't.
thrown into the streets.
Yeah, I mean.
I don't like your sense of humor, Jóndi.
One can only
Yeah,
hope that
this
said
is-
person had a chance to go home and rethink their life.
Yeah.
And what makes this a good story is the fact that that person didn't get severely beaten up.
Because
Yeah,
they
I
didn't
think
have
that,
knives back then. That's,
There
that's
was
what's
just,
changed.
he was just manhandled, as they say, and just thrown into
A
the street.
manhandled. Okay.
Yeah,
Wow.
they picked him up, turned him upside down, and put him in a trash can.
Tjarga og fyrra.
Is that like, tar, like a bucket of tar and
feathers?
feathers?
Feathers,
Yeah.
We could also, and we're not going to do it because why bother? There was like part of the anti-Tesla thing was hit Iceland on Saturday, where
Yeah.
a maximum of 15 people protested outside the only Tesla dealership in Iceland.
There are so many Teslas here. It
Yeah.
sickens me. It's like every other fucking car.
I really like
Unbelievable.
because they all look the same and you always know like this one has too much money.
Yeah, it's sort of like seeing someone with like a sunburned face, isn't it? It's like you are not in control of your life. Like, what are you doing? Like, get it together. Like, I don't know. There's no excuse. It's
No, so at least
a Nazi
that's
car at this point.
that is not.
I'm not the first person to say this.
No, so that's not catching on here, I guess, the whole Tesla thing. Although,
Not yet.
Not yet, but I guess. I guess. You know, it's.
Well, I spoke not the Tesla thing, but like anti-American things. Like I spoke to a person over the weekend who is like actively boycotting stuff from America.
How's that going?
Well, they drink appelsine and eat fish, so it goes well.
Yeah, all
It's
right.
actually, come think of it, it's kind of a healthy move.
Yeah.
If you think-
Probably.
yeah. So no more
Yeah,
Coca-Cola.
Yeah, it
diet.
wasn't like a political stance they're taking; it's a health stance.
It's a lifestyle choice. No, but so that went nowhere. But I have one piece of news that does relate to America, does relate to tourism, and is kind of interesting.
Okay.
So you're familiar with the wreck of a Douglas DC-3 Dakota plane,
Yeah.
C-47,
In Sólheimasandur.
in Sólheimasandur in the south of Iceland, just east of the town of Vík, that
Mhm.
people have been frequenting to, I guess, this century mostly, tourists mostly, and
This is the same one that was photographed for the cover of the underrated alt rock classic Douglas Dakota by Botleda.
by Botleda or
Yeah.
Silt.
Silt, as they were trying
It's a
to.
great
get
album,
those-
by the
yeah,
way, from
fantastic.
2000.
Oh,
2000s.
you
Yeah.
guys with your music.
It's like capped off this perfect trilogy of rock albums, arguably like the three of the greatest rock albums in Icelandic history. Like I'm not. This isn't hyperbole.
Just look it up on Spotify.
Like Fólkafíp, Magnil, and Douglas Dakota are all perfect. There
Just
is
look up
not a
Douglas
song, not a bad song on any of them.
I'm not gonna listen to music by choice.
We're not explaining this to you. We're explaining this to the
Okay.
the viewers.
Yeah,
always
yeah,
forget
yeah. You're
about
welcome
the
to
viewers.
listen to. You're welcome to listen to your go-to
You see the
playlist.
cameras?
You're welcome to listen to your go-to playlist on Spotify of fake artists.
No, I have this like
Your
sounds
AI
of the
generated.
ocean.
Sorry. Oh, Sounds of the Ocean.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
okay.
good stuff.
Yeah,
That's
At
good
least
stuff.
that's actually genuine. That's cool.
Maybe it's
I've-
AI generated sounds of the ocean.
I don't know, man. Like I've played like keyboards where you can just go like, and it sounds pretty convincing.
Could be. So anyway, this has become a major tourist attraction. People go there, and there's like this.
It's like
worn down hulk of a
why?
plane.
Why
I don't know, it
do people
just-
want to go
It
there?
looks kind of cool on the black beaches or sand.
Looks cool on the cover of the record.
Yeah, it kind of looks cool, I guess. So
And it's
Like,
like
you
you have
turn-
to walk for like half an hour or something in the sand and to see a plane wreck.
I mean, if
And
you,
then you walk back and you have to pay like shitloads of money for parking.
I think if you don't fundamentally feel the dark draw of plane wreckage, then it can't be explained to you. Like, there's something about it that just, that, it triggers something deep within myself and other
But it
people.
wasn't like it wasn't like a tragic accident. It was a military plane.
Oh, the story doesn't
landed
matter.
because of
yeah, they kind of ran out of fuel or something and crashed.
so
and it
it-
was a safe
or crashed.
Crash
It's like
land.
a flat sand beach going for.
Yeah.
I mean, anyone who has flown in a plane, I feel like, I think seeing a plane in less than ideal condition, I think it triggers something inside of them. Like, it makes them subconsciously more aware of their own mortality. Like, it has a draw of it's like a shipwreck.
But the story here
I'm
is
sorry.
that the landowners where that hulk of a plane is
Mhm.
deteriorating fast
Yeah.
have because it's good
because
business.
planes were not meant to be houses.
Yeah, it's good business, and that
Really?
plane has been sitting on. It's
I mean, that's the other appeal of it. It's just like, oh, a plane that's also a house. It's like a thing where it shouldn't be.
Yeah.
It's
So
like if a house was flying through the sky.
so it's this Douglas Dakota plane.
You wanna finish? With
I
this?
wanna get to the story.
Okay.
I'll shut up.
So the landowners where this plane hulk has been sitting since 1973 after it crashed on its way to or from the U.S. airbase that was in Keflavik. Safely, nobody died as far as I remember.
They just landed the
They
plane.
just landed it. It was a very safe landing. I think they had some issues and just landed. And I remember
left
like
it there.
the old picture from 1973 has like the propellers are bent, so they kind of just landed on. If the wheels worked, they fell off immediately.
Yeah.
But it was a pretty, relaxed crash. So
Apparently, it's much easier and safer to crash a plane on land than on water. That's the last thing I'll say. Keep
yeah,
going.
so the landowners have thought like, okay, there's not much left of this plane. The elements have taken its toll on it, so we should get a replacement. So they recently procured another Douglas DC-3 C-47 Dakota,
Mhm.
these military planes from the Second World War, which had been sitting around since 1976, just being used for parts, and they now have a replacement. So we kind of like whatever we.
Cool.
I
I'm
wanted
into
to
it.
talk
We should
about-
go see it.
Well,
The
what
next
I-
episode will be there.
Okay.
What I wanted to talk
sign
about
up for it.
here, you've basically touched upon, which is like, why is this plane there? And there's nothing authentic about this. It's really weird.
And now they're gonna like.
And now they're going to replace the thing with another identical thing.
Yeah, I forget my semiotics and the signified and the signifier when when something is supposed to represent something and then that's gone and then all you have left is a representation of the representation. And I think there is definitely an analogy for the Icelandic tourist industry there, that like this is a representation of something that was never actually there in the first place.
No, yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like, is there something like apart from nature, basically, that's authentic in Iceland? It's like about the tourist industry. I mean, this plane thing. Now we're gonna just swap them with another one. And basically, tell no one.
Mm-hmm.
But it's this. It epitomizes this struggle of man against nature that man is perennially losing. I think that's what people find attractive about. It's like it's one thing to be out in nature, and there's nothing around. But then if you see like
Yeah,
an old
but-
bunker or like a radio mast or something, like that speaks volumes. You know, there's a loneliness to
Yeah,
it.
but
you know?
my point is, like, nothing is authentic here.
No, it's not.
It's like it's all fake. It's all just like a giant movie set for Game of Thrones.
Yeah, have you been to Sky Lagoon?
Yeah, and
Like-
it's like completely fake.
Yeah, like
I still actually like it.
I
love
really
it.
like it.
it's surreal. It's like
it's terrific.
yeah.
But I also like swimming pools,
Yeah, I do
Like-
like swimming pools.
and I just call them swimming pools.
Yes.
Yeah, and in Iceland at least, it doesn't get much more, you know, real than like the local pools.
Yeah,
You know,
but
with the
this is
sand
like
at the bottom and the flaking paint. You know,
and also like the Blue Lagoon.
again, man
our-
failing
our
against nature.
biggest tourist attraction, the Blue Lagoon. It's just like a massive environmental, like.
It's like a puddle of
Cluster.
wastewater that they had nothing else to do with.
Yeah,
Right? Yeah.
they were just like, oh, let's just have the power plant leak into the lava.
Yeah, nobody cares. Says nobody here.
Yeah, then there was like, oh, we can probably make money off this.
Yeah, like smash
did-
cut
and-
2.
and-
That'll be
and-
17,000 krona.
And
please.
it's like important to note, I really like the Blue Lagoon,
Yeah,
I really like the Blue Lagoon too.
and I really like Sky Lagoon, but
Yeah.
it's not a lagoon. It's
Oh,
a swimming pool
it's
with
a-
fake
what
rocks.
is a lagoon? Like, are we gonna get geographical about the definition of what a lagoon
No,
is?
but when you think about the hot springs and this náttúrulaugar, I don't know.
Yeah, natural pools, yeah.
Yeah, you can go. I mean, it's not far from Reykjavík where you can go and take a short hike
Mhm.
and be like in an authentic náttúrulaug.
Yeah, I mean, it's the kind of
Yeah.
tourist you are, isn't it? It's like, are you gonna just buy the package, or are you gonna go looking for the real deal?
It reminds me, I went to Oman. I've talked to this before on the show. My
Oman?
trip to Oman,
Yes.
and we went to
Next
this.
to never mind.
But we went to this. It's like the National Opera, and in an adjacent building there's like a national library, and all the books in the library were fake. It was just like the covers of a book around like a.
Ooh, so we just
No
listed
way.
it.
It was just
Yeah.
like the facade of a library.
Yeah.
Wow.
And they tried to explain that, oh, we just opened the building and we have to get the books and move the books in. It's like, okay, but
But in the meantime, they dropped dineros on making it
books.
look like a library.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and it's like Icelandic tourist attractions are a bit like this.
Yeah.
It's like the building is real, the country is real, Iceland is a country, but pretty much what you see, apart from when you get into nature, it's like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Like
It's like the bookstore band.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess.
yeah.
I mean,
it's
guess.
just,
I guess
it's all
so.
an illusion, Michael.
But I think
it's not. None of it's real.
on sort of that note, when it comes to things that aren't nature here,
Yeah.
because of nature, nothing that we've kind of built over the past 1,300 years or whatever of living here has lasted very long.
Yeah.
So that's
Except the nature. Yeah.
yeah. So like there are the
It's
oldest,
always this shabby, rushed, imperfect frame around a picture of nature.
Yeah,
that
'cause
people
it-
think they can sort of reach through and touch,
Mhm.
but then it fucking falls apart at the first,
So
blow of wind.
So even like both the Faroe Islands and Greenland have like leftovers or like have medieval churches
Mhm.
built out of stone that are still there. I mean, they're not in good shape, but they're there. We have no such thing.
No.
We have basically nothing that predates the 18th century. And I mean, I guess it means that anything you see here is kind of modern anyway and made up. to an extent.
We're
it's
so
just-
modern.
we're so modern. So it's not like going to Italy where there's like a 2,000-year-old arch of something.
Silvio
I-
Berlusconi came to Iceland for an official like visit. where
Yeah,
he
in
was-
2003, I think, or something.
Yeah, and then a few years later, he was.
He remembered.
He actually forgot that he was in Iceland. Thought he was in Finland, and gave a comment about that he was taken to a small wooden church, and he thought to himself. He didn't say it out loud. If this was in Italy, we would have bulldozed this shit.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's actually fair.
Yeah. I mean,
Well,
it,
if
and
you're
he was in
fucking Italy,
Finland.
that applies to mostly everything you see outside of Italy.
Yeah.
Like, they have it pretty good when it comes to stuff like that.
I'm sorry, we can't have your 1,000-year-old ruins of the only time your country was good at anything. But
but
also, it must be demoralizing and living in the ruins of an empire for 1,500 years doing nothing.
If I were to ever, flirt with the concept of feeling sorry for Silvio Berlusconi, then that's the avenue we would take.
I mean, on the others, and when it comes to Iceland, we just live in an empty canvas. We haven't really done anything yet.
Yeah, that's
so
a very
that's
accurate.
The upside here.
Yeah.
So just stay in Reykjavík, get a pilsa.
So, I mean, it depends on why you come here. I think a lot of people come here because they want to see what the fun. I think that
I would really like, because we have.
I'm about to tell you, but finish your question.
Yeah, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Because I really like the comment section under our videos. On YouTube.
Yeah, please tell us why you're here. Is what you're.
Yeah, it's like, why do you listen to this? It's like number one.
Yeah.
Or maybe that's number two.
Why are you?
Why
are you interested in Iceland?
Yeah,
number one.
why?
Why do you come here?
And why would you want to come here?
Also, this show is sponsored by the Icelandic Tourist Board.
Is it?
No.
Where's my money, you son of a bitch?
We have no sponsors.
We have no sponsors.
Tell me we're charging, $10 for hot dogs, and I'm not seeing any of that cash.
I'm just gonna send a bill to the Blue Lagoon and/or Sky Lagoon and tell them, like, if you don't pay up,
it's like
I will not edit this.
We will come to Sky Lagoon every day of the week, drunk as fuck, and we'll see what happens. I don't even have to end that sentence.
Or we'll ask them whether or not they'll pay us to record in the Sky Lagoon or Blue Lagoon.
I would really like that. We should go on a road trip.
Because
see the airplane.
See the DC-3.
Yeah,
record an episode of the DC-3. That'll be something. Before they replace it.
Have a live show on the way. It's like a 3-hour drive or something.
Mm-hmm.
It's like live.
My mounting car sickness.
This is
be
where
like the tension of the episode.
This is where you'll be forced to listen to 3 Bottled albums back to back.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
My nausea will make me quieter, I think.
But also, we can explain why we dislike things that we actually still like we were just doing. We like and dislike things at the same time. It's not impossible.
But if you really want to know, I'm really willing to hypothetically provide a dual answer to your question. Okay. I think there are a lot of people who come here just to see what the fuss is about because they're professional tourists. I mean, not professional, but it's their vocation in life is to visit places just because people are going there, right?
And we have some fuss.
Yeah, and maybe they feel something, they learn something, they get sort of the experience. But I mean, like Silvio Berlusconi, like if it's going to be rated on the merits of what it is, Iceland is kind of a shit place to visit. Like, everything is expensive and it's bad and it's kind of mid but and here's the kicker. I think there is that sort of, like I was saying, that sort of sense of like the power of nature and like how shoddy everything is here. It sort of creates this feel of how ephemeral civilization really is to try to like establish something here. I think, and if you see that, I mean, when I go to countries, like when I visit countries as a tourist, I don't really like tour guides. I don't like having shit explained to me. Like, I just want to look around and feel how it feels to be there. You know what I mean? Like, what is the central sort of, how does it make you feel inside? And I think if you're that kind of tourist, I can see people coming here and finding it really interesting. And I think, our lost New Yorker felt probably a similar thing when he, just sort of rambled out into nature to sort of get closer to that, and ended up getting closer to it than he was probably bargaining for.
Yeah, I've come like a full circle with the American tourist in Hafnarfjöður. I have some serious respect for the guy.
Yeah.
It's like he's doing something.
Yeah. He's experiencing it.
He's not going to Sólfarið to have a picture.
Yeah.
With Esjan.
No,
I wonder how it felt to be lost here.
Yeah.
I got lost in the Dominican Republic once.
Oh,
and
really?
It was just like, I'm not sure how I'm gonna, being in that position where it's just like, I don't really have any money. I don't really speak the language. You have to sort of just like, trust that things will figure themselves out. But yeah, to be lost here, that's probably a real different experience.
Yeah,
we should get him on the show.
Yeah, we should.
We should get him on the show, yeah. on that note, don't get lost in Iceland.
Yeah, don't do it.
It's unsafe.
People die.
But it can be fun.
But it's definitely a life-altering experience. So you have to. Well, but it might cost you your life at the same time, which is in itself a life-altering experience.
Okay.
Well, that was it for today. See you next week. Thank you guys. Adios.
Thank you.
Adios,
Adios.
amigo.